Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Season 1, Episode 11. A great episode. Lots of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, we're picking up with Rentaro stressing out because with Karuko's birthday coming up, he doesn't know what to get her because he's like, what do you even do? So who does he turn to? None other than his mom, which I love that when he talks to her, he's like, Mom, do you know if there's any other good cake shops out there? And she's got the knife in her hand and she's shaking. She's like, oh, so you're growing tired of our cakes, huh? He's like, no. It's that, Karuko gets stuff from our place all the time and I just want to kind of get her something she hasn't had before. In fact, because her birthday's coming up and I want to kind of celebrate it. And for his mom, it's like, wait, what? It's like, because she's never heard her son talk about it. So much change has happened at once. She's got to know his friends, even got to meet the girl that he's infatuated with. And so now it's a situation, well, she's already knew Karuko enough because Karuko stopped. She's a regular, but now knowing like, oh, this regular customer that I already like, turns out there's even more reason to like her because she's the girl that my son likes. And hearing like Rentaro do that and asking for advice, it's like, whoa, what is this? Is this really my son? And it's just like seeing how like forward he is and being able to ask for it. So it was actually her suggesting like, oh, well, why don't you make her one if you're that worried about it? But he's like, I don't know how to make one. It's like, yeah. She's like, you help around the shop. He's like, yeah, but I help with little stuff here and there. She's like, well, then ask your dad. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to bother him. He's super like busy at work. And so we find out how much of an otaku he is as Rentaro's mom puts it. It's like, oh, he's a cake otaku. It's like, don't worry and stress about asking him about it because she's like, he's the one that signed up for this type of work. And we see how dedicated he is to his craft. But I guess it kind of goes back to that adage, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life type of thing. So we do see like they creep through how much of an otaku he is and how much like he like all the dark circles under his eyes, how drained he is every day because he puts so much effort and he works so hard on making these cakes. But I think this also goes back to something that I want to say was like maybe episode 9, maybe was like that flashback when we saw Rentaro's mom dye her hair and pierce her ear just to kind of make him feel more okay and make him not feel as alone when he wants to kind of change himself. I think she had talked about the fact is Rentaro never asked for anything. So his family is always willing because it's like, because he never feels like he's deserving enough to ask. He's always struggled, even with being at home, feeling like he belongs. He's never felt comfortable in his own skin. And I think now that he is, and he's feeling more comfortable asking anything, like, I mean, I kind of also get that too, because it's always been something my family's always said about me. Like, I'm always been reluctant to, and I think that's why I connect with Rentaro in that regard, because I always, that was something I struggled with. Even to now, my parents still ask me from time to time, oh, do you want something? You need something? It's like, every once in a while, I'll say something just because I'm like, if I don't, they'll worry about it. They're like, are you sure? It's one of those things because I always say no, especially my dad. My dad always gets on me about the fact that I always say no. He's like, you say no. If you need anything, let me know. I'm like, okay, I will. Sometimes I'll just say something like, what's the word I'm looking for? I was about to say superfluous. Just almost like so he feels okay getting me something. Like it's one of those things. But like I think because of that, it makes him feel okay because it means like, okay, you're comfortable asking us for something, and I like that. That just shows you like, right, you're willing to communicate with us, and obviously showing how important this is. That even then, like, despite his wariness, he'd ask his dad like, yo, can you teach me how to make cakes? And even his dad's kind of like, yo, like, I would have never imagined you would ever ask me something like that. So he's like, all right, let's do it. But basically we got 2 weeks, right? All right, we're going to work every day and I'll work you to the bone. It's like, let's go to the kitchen. It's like, wait, we're starting right now? It's like, yep. And so Rentaro works tirelessly and he's so worn out at school because of it. But he's like, he doesn't let the others know what it's really all about. They just know he's making cakes and he's so exhausted. Like, oh man, is it really that exhausting to make cakes? It's it's hard work in general, I'm sure, but probably even more so like the amount of effort and time he has to put in it to, for one, make sure everything's great and perfect for Karuko, but also like his dad's probably a drill sergeant when it comes to like being very meticulous about that stuff. But the moment he was walking towards the door in the classroom, I was like, and the way his body's angled, he's about to run into the door, isn't he? And yes, he does. Because for Rintaro, he's like, I don't know enough. He's like, I actually don't know a lot about Karuko. I've always wanted to know more about her, but now, like, as time is going on, that feeling is growing stronger and stronger. But it's like, I owe her so much, and also I want to be able to make her happy and smile. So he's willing to put in all this effort. So the time finally comes that the final stages get the cake made and ready, and he asks his dad. His dad's like, "Oh, it's not too bad." He's like, "Really? All right." He's like, "Yeah." He's so excited about it. He's thanking his dad, and it's like, "Oh, like the fact is that he can smile a lot like that. It's just that in itself was priceless for both of his parents just to see him like that. So he's excited to kind of showcase this to Kaoruko. At the same time, some girls at Kikyo were asking Kaoruko could they hang out and celebrate her birthday, which just shows you how much she's adored at that school, understandably. But Subaru is like, no, I kind of have plans with Kaoruko on like the 22nd on her birthday, so could we do it on the 23rd? And they're like, sure, fine. And you can see Kaoruko was kind of like looking down, because I guess there was a part of her that was almost hoping, like, she's probably thinking to herself, like, should I tell Rintaro? But she's like, oh, but the fact that you guys want to spend time with me, I really appreciate that. And it's just like all the girls hug onto her. They're gonna like, oh my god, you're so cute. But I think that's probably what she was thinking. Like, probably more than anything, she probably did want to hang out with Rintaro, but she also knows, like, oh, I don't want to tell him it's my birthday. It's probably like around the corner, and it's probably too late now. So, unbeknownst to her, Subaru has already broached that, a couple weeks ago. And so Rentaro contacts her and is like, oh, like, on the 22nd, can I give you something? She's kind of like, wait, what? The 22nd, it just happens to be my birthday. But she's like, no. What could he be getting me? I don't want to get my hopes up. There's no way he would know it's my birthday. Like, how would he know? And immediately she's like, calls up Subaru. And she's like, and she's like, oh, Rentaro must have gotten in contact about it. And she's like, oh, Subaru. It's like, why'd you tell him? And it's like, well, because she's like, I want to hear my friend talk more about the person she likes. So it's like, right, you'll share this with me, like, after the fact, right? And she's like, yes. And then she's like, thank you. And it's like, yeah, it's just Subaru looking after her best friend. Like, it's like, because she likes Rintaro too. So it's like, right, I see the way you make him happy. Like, he makes you happy, and that makes me happy, type of thing. So they decide to meet up. Rintaro's kind of stressed out because he's like, cool, I got the cake. But now he's like, but was that enough? Because he's probably thinking, like, should I just gotten her a present? Like, is a cake a lame thing? Because it's like, yeah, I made this whole declaration because I know she loves sweets. I know she loves cakes in particular. But I'm like, should I have done a little bit more? He's like, well, I'll wait for her so that I won't I'll show up early so I'll have time to kind of process and put myself together. And immediately he shows up and she's already waiting, because I'm like, of course, because you both are such a nervous wreck. You both show up extremely early. You showed up early and she already showed up even earlier than you. So it's like, oh, why are you here early? It's like, oh, I just, yeah, so, oh, here's the thing I wanted to give you, happy birthday. And he's like, oh, she's like, oh, can I open it? He's like, it's a cake, so you probably want to save it till your own. She's like, oh, let's go over here to that playground, the one that's so significant to her, which I don't think it correlated in my head that that's where him and Subaru met in the second half of episode 6. Obviously, that's where Kaoruko and Subaru had their conversation in the first half of the episode, but I don't think it correlated until they were sitting over there by the benches, where I'm like, oh, because Rintaro didn't know, like, that's this. He thought that this was probably just a random spot that Subaru chose, but it's like, oh no, she chose this spot because this place has a lot of sentimental value to all of them, and now he knows the sentimental value of, like, why it's such an important spot. Because like Kaoruko wouldn't know that they already met up here to talk. I mean, I think she knew that they talked and stuff, but didn't know, like, that it was at this particular spot, and now he has the association of, like, why this park is so important to, like, why Subaru met this, like, their set up their discussion location. Like I said, if it was the same one, obviously it's been a couple weeks, so I might be misremembering, but like I said, at the time it didn't even correlate that it was the same part. I don't think that crossed my mind, but either way, Karuko takes out the cake and she's like, "Oh wow, this looks so great. Is this like a new one at the shop?" He's like, "No, it's one I made myself." And she's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, I made it myself. It's just like I wanted, to kind of give you something that showcases how grateful I am, because that's something his dad wanted to get across initially. It's like, what do you want the cake essentially to say?" Because he was like, "Oh, type." He's like, "No, I want to know what type. What do you want the cake to say?" And he's like, "Well, I wanted her to, it to be something that makes her happy, showcases how grateful I am, make her happy, and for her to smile." And his dad, that was enough to be like, "All right." And that's what made him like go like, "All right, you have that in mind. The fact is you're putting all that sentimentality and those feelings into the cake. I know I want those feelings need to come through with what the cake. You have to pour your heart into it, and there has to be a reason behind it. Like, what are you trying to convey with this cake?" And for her, she's like, "I'll save it at home. And they kind of part ways afterwards. Because she's like, "Oh, can I call you tonight? Basically, to let you know what I thought about the cake." He's like, "Yeah, sure." And so, obviously, when he gets home, he's watching TV and his parents are staring. And it's like, his mom is like, "Why is he staring at the TV like that? Did him giving the cake not go well or something?" It's like, and even his dad being like, "Don't I look at the TV like that?" She's like, "Yeah, but like, your eyes are never that sharp." So, but even later on saying like, "Oh, he's super easy to read." And I love the little question mark upon like the dads, because I think the dad's maybe a little more oblivious than the mom, because I think his mom picked up on like running away after getting a notification from, "I see what this is about," but his dad seemed to be like, probably like, "What are you talking about?" So, but either way, Karuko got a little taste of the cake early before her family got there. She's like, "No, it's for me." And obviously she's kind of drooling and so excited to taste the cake, and immediately tasting it, everything that Rintaro wanted to get across flooded through her, and she's just happy and says it's delicious. So she eventually like calls him and tells him how delicious the cake was. In fact, she shared it with her family. I think she's like, her brother ate like half of it, so she only was able to have a little bit more. But her entire family loved it and thought it was delicious. So she'd also said this at the park, where it's just like, obviously like this park holds so many memories for Karuko, and being able to kind of have even more memories associated with Rintaro on her birthday too just makes it all that much more like, not just fortuitous but beautiful and cute and adorable. But also hearing from Karuko about like her reaction to the cake, and it was nice. And Rintaro runs to tell his parents like, "Mom, Dad, like, she loved the cake, she thought it was delicious." And he's really appreciative to his dad, even to the point that he's like, because he even says like, "Oh, I'll make you another one." And Karuko is excited to hear that. So he's telling his dad like, "Right, during summer break, I'll work at the shop so I can make an even better cake next time." He's like, "Okay, but if you're gonna do that, you're gonna need to work every day." And then his mom thumps his dad in the head. It's like, "Don't do that." He's like, "I was just kidding." And for her, it's like, "I want you to enjoy summer. Like, if you want to, you can work in the shop here and there, but you enjoying summer comes first." And it makes sense from her perspective. It's like, this is the first time you're really, really hanging out with your friends. You brought them over to the house. Like, I know how important they are to you. So I want you to enjoy this now. It's like, you've kind of taken this new direction in life, and I don't want you to stop. I want you to keep stepping forward, and I want you to enjoy life. I want you to have fun. Being able to make cakes and stuff like that, sure. She also doesn't want him to become the cake otaku that his dad is. But it's like, yeah, let that come first. But even then, Rintaro is like, "I understand. I'll work every day at the shop that I don't have plans." And his mom's like, "Do you really understand what I'm saying if you're going that far?" Once again, the concern is still there. Like, enough of his father's probably passed down onto him where he can probably become a cake otaku. Considering the girl he's into really loves sweets, specifically cakes, he's probably going to be motivated to become even more of a cake otaku. Like, he's probably going to become a lot more like his dad than his mom wants him to. But at the end of the day, Rintaro's mom is super happy about the fact is how much of a positive effect his friends has had on him. It's like seeing him smile and laugh. It just shows how good this has all been for him. And I love that his dad uses the opportunity. He's like, "So she said the cake was delicious, but what did she like about it more? Or like the sponginess, the this and that?" He's like, "Dad, I didn't ask her about those details." And he's probably like, "No, like, give me an idea," because he's like, probably wants to be able to incorporate that, probably take that actual cake and make it something they serve at the store. But also it's like, okay, like, was it the fluffiness that she really enjoyed, this and that? And it's just like, I think at the end of the day, probably that warm fuzzy feeling that it gives you, because that's part of the title of the episode. Like, was it a morsel of warmth? I think it's the titled episode, something like that. But just a beautiful episode in general. Obviously, the post credit is the text messages between them saying like, oh, like they're all excited to go to the beach and hang out. So beautiful and adorable wrap up to the episode. Excited to see how their full blown hangout during summer, how that plays out. You know, mandatory beach episode type of vibe. It probably won't be like the fan servicey thing. There'll probably be some fan service, but you know, it's probably going to be a lot more cute and adorable. Rentaro being on the beach with the guys probably going to, you know, help prevent so many, you know, hooligans, you know, trying to like mess with Karuko or Subaru. So I can see that being a storyline element, but we'll see how it all plays out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.